Hello everyone, greetings from Group 2. On behalf of our group, Jose Valadares, Pranavi Dandu, Rima Chhaya, Rosy Senanayake, and myself Dhirendra Thapaliya, I'm delighted to welcome you to today's presentation, Revised University Passport Policy. Table of Contents. We have divided our entire presentation into 5 different sections. Rima is starting with introduction slides. Pranavi and Rosy are going to shed some light on password management. I'm going to elaborate authentication. Pranavi is revisiting for importance of password policy. Jose is highlighting incident response, reporting, and monitoring.
Introduction, Purpose, Applicability, and Scope. Abstract. Despite new technologies, passwords remain the most common form of authentication due to their simplicity and ease of use. However, they are vulnerable. Weak passwords based on the personal information are easily guessed. Using Zipf's law and low-cost computing makes brute force attacks more effective. Alternatives like biometric face technical limitations. To stay secure, a password system must adopt dynamic, adaptive mechanism to defend against modern threats. Improving authentication. Our objective is to recommend stronger password policies that enhance the security of authentication processes and organizational systems. Key aims are include reducing the risk of brute force, dictionary, and credential stuffing attacks, some of the most common vectors for unauthorized access. We also aim to ensure compliance with industry regulations and standards, helping the organizations stay audit ready. At the same time, we are promoting good password habits across the user base, striking the right balance between security and usability. Finally, we plan to develop a robust, scalable password management framework, one that can evolve with the threat landscape and support future security needs. Let's talk about network hardening advantages. Network hardening plays a crucial role in securing our infrastructure by closing system vulnerabilities and ensuring consistent, standardized configurations across devices. By preventing misconfigurations in router and switches, we significantly reduce the risk of exploitation from external threats. We align our efforts with the CIA standards. Now let's talk about level 1. Level 1 provides fundamental minimum safeguards applicable to all systems. Compared to Level 1, Level 2 introduces advanced customizable protection for higher risk environments. Additionally, leveraging network automation, which is inspired by software defined networking, streamlines repetitive tasks, enhance accuracy, and improve scalability and security. These automated approaches are key to building networks in today's evolving threat landscape. Password policy applicability. This policy applies to all parties and organizations accessing systems protected by password authentication, such as employees, contractors, and third-party vendors. It covers a wide range of resources, including internal networks, cloud services like AWS and Azure, SaaS platforms, and on-premises systems. This policy ensures password-based protection, which is consistently enforced across all parts of organization. Let's talk about scope of coverage. The policy applies to all end user devices, including desktop, mobile devices, and virtual machines, as well as development and test environments. It also governs both interactive logins like user sign in and non interactive ones like service account access. While it does not replace biometric or hardware tokens, it works alongside MFA multi-factor authentication to strengthen authentication across systems.
Password management.
Password Manager. It's a software application that preserves and organizes credentials in an encrypted vault, which is a safe storage space. Most of them used today are of two types: local password managers and cloud based managers. Coming to the security features, they use AES 256 encryption, which are mostly used by banks and governments these days, and they follow a zero knowledge architecture. That is, even the service provider cannot access our data, only the user can. And they all use MFAs and security password sharings and detailed activity tracking these days. Organizations should require password managers, especially for working staff with sensitive data. Features like auto logout, regular password updates, setting strong password rules can boost security. With the right training, everyone can use these tools easily. Adding multi-factor authentications and blocking known leaked passwords can make things easier and safer for everybody. All of this should follow trusted standards like NIST and particular institution security policies.
Key password policy best practices and recommendations that are essential for protecting the system from cyber threats like brute force attacks, password spraying, and credential stuffing. Passwords remain the most common form of authentication, and strong, unique ones are still our first line of defense. NIST recommends using long, memorable passphrases like this example instead of hard to remember complex strings. Modern standards emphasize both security and usability. NIST SB 863B advises against forcing users to reset passwords unless there's a compromise and favors long phrases over strict complexity rules. ISO IEC 27001 takes a risk-based approach, recommending strong governance and access control tailored to user roles. So both agree password policy should reduce friction while strengthening protection. Password strength should be tailored to user roles. For general users, we recommend at least 12 plus characters using a password manager and enabling multi-factor authentication. Privileged users like department heads should go further. 15 plus characters password manager use and multi-factor authentication is required. For system administrators, the bar is highest. Passwords should be 50 to 20 characters system generators stored in encrypted vaults, no browser autofills, and multi-factor authentication is strictly enforced. The period access reviews are also essential. Let's wrap up with password expiration and account lockout policies. For standard users, NIST recommends no forced expiry unless there's evidence of compromise. For admins not using multi-factor authentication, passwords should expire every 90 to 180 days. In terms of lockout policies, after 5 failed login attempts, accounts should be temporarily locked for 15 minutes. 10 failed attempts lead to permanent lockout and require IT intervention. And throttling option can also be used, gradually increasing the delay after each failed attempt to slow down attackers. Monitoring and alerts are critical. Systems should detect anomalies like password spraying and alert security teams to take actions quickly. So, effective password policies must be smart, role specific, and built around modern standards like NIST and ISO.
Let's talk about the authentication. In our previous slides, we talked about niche recommendation for complex passwords and other password hardening things. Despite all those, we are still talking about authentication enhancement with the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning in the dark web. One factor authentication, which is only password, is more vulnerable. In order to maintain confidentiality of the CIA tried of the data And in order to provide the access only to the authorized user, authentication is required to be enhanced. The implementation part of the authentication enhancement relies on the three primary categories of the authentication factors: something you are, biometric, face scan, iris scan; something you have, hardware token, authenticator app, smart card; something you know, password, pin, passphrase. Requiring some of these three categories of the authentication factors along with password during the authentication process enables multi-factor authentication, MFA. MFA ensures you are who you are. Here we have 7 commonly used multi-factor authentications. Among them, push notification, SMS, and email as MFA are not recommended. University uses push notification from Microsoft Authenticator, which could be compromised by using MFA fatigue or push bombing. Our recommendation is to reconfigure and remove this feature or use other providers. This is interesting slide. We were talking about password and password hardening and appeared passwordless authentication. When a user doesn't need to give the password while accessing their account, this is called passwordless authentication. Since it implicitly inherits MFA, it is more secure. Passwordless authentication works with biometric scanning, hardware tokens, OTP, authenticator app, RSA, and AES. It is as secure as password-based authentication with MFA because fewer passwords means greater security. Single sign-on or SSO is not requiring password again and again for accessing other services of the organization after the first successful authentication. Our recommendation is to link all services of the university with SSO like D2L and brochures office pages. Importance.
For password security. To build any strong password policy, it's important to understand how things work, including, reviewing how people create passwords, whether or not they use MFAs, and whether they use tools like strength meters, etc. are in place. It's important to involve key teams like, the IT, security, HR, department heads. IT will help set up the technical tools, HR and managers will guide the communication and training of the team. Finally, coordination across the different departments will ensure that everyone is on the same page, making adoption easier and more smoother. Acceptance and steps for effective implementation. Once the plan is ready, users need simple and clear training. Use posters, emails, videos, and workshops to explain changes. Messages should be meaningful. Examples saying like this password could be cracked in 3 minutes will help the people understand the risks. Keeping awareness ongoing with prompts, alerts, and reminders. Monitor how users respond, like whether they change weak passwords or enable MFAs. Roll out the plan in phases, starting with a few departments. This will allow the time to fix any issues before a full launch happens. Lastly, it is important to set technical safeguards like enforcing strong passwords and locking inactive accounts to protect the system.
The goal in this section is to access these systems to improve incident response and protect university data effectively. MGA's incident response combines automated and manual processes. Automated response quickly identify and mitigate threats. reducing human errors and response time. Manual response is suited for complex situations, but maze-low containment risk-based authentication supports both flagging unusual activity like unfamiliar devices or locations, then locking accounts or requiring MFA. Balancing automation with human insights help MGA improve to its threat response capabilities. MGA's incident response combines automated and manual processes. Automated responses quickly identify and mitigate threats, reducing human error and response time. Manual response is suited for complex situations, but may slow containment. Risk-based authentication supports both flagging unusual activity like unfamiliar devices or location, then locking accounts or requiring MFA. Balancing automation with human insight helps MGA improve its threats response capabilities. MGA uses risk-based authentication to monitor login behavior through geolocation and timing analysis. It detects outlier activities such as login from unusual places or times, and can lock accounts or initiate investigations to prevent breaches. Machine learning enhances this by learning normal user behavior and identifying threats such as password spray attacks. This adapted system helps MGA stay ahead of evolving cyber attacks. MGA leverages geolocation and login frequency to detect anomalies quickly. Machine learning compares logging activity to normal patterns, spotting subtle threats such as password spray attacks early. This real-time detection reduces the chances of attacks and strengthens security. The system complies with the institutional IT policies and builds an adaptive network that evolves with new cyber threats. MGA has a strong account policies. Accounts lock after multiple failed logins to block brute force attacks. Passwords must be complex, and MFA is required for critical systems. The incident response integrates automation without human oversight, as outlined in Georgia's IT policies. Regular reviews of lockout and recovery keep security proactive, fostering a campus-wide culture focused on protecting sensitive data. MGA uses machine learning to detect password spray attacks and abnormal logins, combined with a mix of automated and manual incident response for effective security. To improve, MGA should strengthen risk-based authentication, upgrade MFA to reduce phishing risks, and enhance anomaly detection with advanced predictive tools. These steps will boost MGA ability to protect sensitive data and stay ahead of complex cyber threats.